Fear of God and the Clockmaker's Secret. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27. In the quiet village of Eldenwood, nestled between whispering pines and ancient hills, lived an old clockmaker named Marv. His clocks were known to be the most precise in the land, each tick a heartbeat of time itself. Yet no one knew Marv's secret. He could see time, the threads of life that spun from every person's soul like fine golden strings. Marv had not always been an old man. Once he had been a soldier, hardened and angry, casting aside all talk of God and conscience. His youth had burned fast, riotous, reckless, and cruel. But war changes even the most calloused hearts. One bitter winter night, amidst the wreckage of a wretched battlefield, Marv had fallen to his knees beneath a blood-red sky and cried out to the Lord above and beyond any battlefield. He pulled a Gideon Bible out of his backpack and, from a random page, he read, "The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be cut short." Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27. It struck Marv like a hammer on iron. He wept there in the mud until dawn. After the war, Marv returned to Eldenwood and took up the quiet trade of clockmaking. With every pendulum he shaped, every gear he polished, he felt that verse echoing through his hands. He began to walk humbly, with thankful obedience to the guidance of Scripture, and reverence and wonder at the one who not only held his times in his hands, but had delivered him from a death on the battlefield years before. Marv aged, but not like others. His eyes stayed clear, his steps steady. The villagers marveled at how he never seemed to weaken. Some said he was blessed, others whispered he was crazy. One autumn, a stranger arrived, a man with slick words and silver rings who called himself Peter. He mocked the chapel, laughed at prayers, and made fortunes swindling the desperate. When Marv warned him gently to leave his crooked ways behind, Peter sneered. "Old man," he said, "your time is nearly gone. Mine is just getting started." But Marv saw Peter's life like a fragile thread fraying and unraveling fast. "The years of the wicked," Marv murmured, "will be cut short." That winter, a great storm struck Eldenwood. Trees fell like matchsticks, and the river swelled with fury. Peter, drunk on his own pride, dared the flood to take him. He was last seen crossing the broken bridge at midnight, mocking the roaring dark. 2 days later, they found no body, only his ring, washed up on the swollen riverbank. The village grieved, but Marv simply wound the great town clock and whispered a prayer. Decades passed. Marv, now white-haired and slow, sat beneath the clock tower, telling stories to children who climbed on his knees. When asked why he'd lived so long, he would smile and point to a worn Bible on the shelf. "Fear isn't about being afraid," he'd say. "It's about awe, reverence, and obedience to the guidance of one's Maker, humbly recognizing that your times are in His hands." And when his final day came, the villagers found him seated at his workbench, peaceful, hands resting on a finished clock that ticked on without him. On its face, etched in gold, was the verse that had shaped his long life. "The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be cut short." And so, even the clock prolonged his life.